Hello, people. How are you? Welcome to Choco Millionaire. So I saw this interesting video. Actually, somebody sent it to me. Ms. Akutu, God bless you so much for sharing this video with me. I will be reacting to this video, but first I want us to enjoy the video. This video is coming from CBC, which is a media house here in Canada. That is not my video. I didn't make it. It was an original video of CBC, and I give them credit for that. I will be reacting to this, and then we'll see. Let me know what you also think about it. Okay. All right. So let's get into the details of the video right away. Okay. Let's get into the details of it.
Commuting to class looks different for Tim Chen, who doesn't board a bus, but a plane to get to university. The arts student flies twice a week from Calgary to Vancouver, saving big bucks on rent.
I need to pay like $2,500 for the rent. I don't feel that is viable.
He pays roughly $150 per round-trip flight twice a week, about $1,200 per month total. That's half the average rent for a one-bedroom in the city.
I thought, why don't I just stay at Calgary and then just fly here? 1 hour flight. That's same shit taking a bus.
He had been renting in Vancouver for years, but gave up his unit to take a break from school. He returned to sticker shock.
When I checked the house price, I was like, oh shoot, that was a big increase.
Vancouver continues to lead the way as Canada's most expensive city for renters, while finding a place to rent is even more difficult, with just a 0.9% vacancy rate. Chen plans to fly to UBC for his 2 classes until the end of the academic year when he graduates.
I got 3 hours of class in total. After the class, I jump back to the bus and go back to the airport.
A routine that he says gives him plenty of time to focus on his studies from the air. Abigail Turner, CTV News, Vancouver.
Okay. So that report was filed by Abigail Turner of CBC. It's a very short one. I like to play it again. Just if anybody they miss any part of it, I'd just like to play it one more time. Okay, so bear with me there. Let's go for the video one more time.
Commuting to class looks different for Tim Chen, who doesn't board a bus, but a plane to get to university. The arts student flies twice a week from Calgary to Vancouver, saving big bucks on rent.
I need to pay like $2,500 for the rent. I don't feel that is viable.
He pays roughly $150 per round-trip flight twice a week, about $1,200 per month total. That's half the average rent for a one-bedroom in the city.
I thought, why don't I just stay at Calgary and then just fly here? 1 hour flight. That's same shit taking a bus.
He had been renting in Vancouver for years, but gave up his unit to take a break from school. He returned to sticker shock.
When I checked the house price, I was like, oh shoot, that was a big increase.
Vancouver continues to lead the way as Canada's most expensive city for renters, while finding a place to rent is even more difficult, with just a 0.9% vacancy rate. Chen plans to fly to UBC for his 2 classes until the end of the academic year when he graduates.
I got 3 hours of class in total. After the class, I jump back to the bus and go back to the airport.
A routine that he says gives him plenty of time to focus on his studies from the air. Abigail Turner, CTV News, Vancouver.
Wow. This is tough, isn't it? All right. So what I got from this video is that the young man there that we see in the video is a student in University of British Columbia, UBC. He currently flies or uses a plane and flies from Calgary in Alberta, which is a province that would take about an hour on a flight, right? It's a province close to British Columbia. So he flies from there into British Columbia to attend his classes, and then after that he flies back. Now his main reason for making this decision His main reason for making this decision is that rent, the average one-bedroom rent in British Columbia is $2,500. $2,500. Okay, it's $2,500. He can't afford it, and he thinks that if he could spend $1,250 a month on flight and get himself into British Columbia and attend his class, like, it saves him money, isn't it? I know you guys have a lot of questions. I also have some questions. I'm going to be sharing my personal opinion. This is not a judgment on the gentleman in any way. I don't know him, so I won't pretend that I know his story. But at least I just like to just think around it a little bit. Maybe we can all think around it a bit, okay? So Turner, the reporter who filed this story, who we saw in the video, said that the gentleman used to live in British Columbia. He lived there for a couple of years and had to give up his rent because rent was just not affordable anymore. So it is not like he never used to live there. He actually used to live. The student used to live in BC. And he eventually did the math and realized that financially it just didn't make any sense anymore to rent those expensive one-bedrooms for $2,500. That's why he moved out. So it would not be fair for us to say that, oh, but for you to be affording flight from another province into British Columbia just for schooling, you know, what about this? What about that? What about Calgary where you live? Don't you also pay rent? I'm pretty sure it's a question you have in your mind. So he lives in Calgary, right? What is the rent in Calgary? If he finds the same one bedroom, will it be for free? Maybe not. Maybe not $0. Maybe he's paying for that. Maybe he's not even paying because he's crashing in with family, so it's free. But at least we know he used to live. At least we know he used to live in British Columbia and left because it was just too expensive. So financially, from his point, he's saving money. We have to respect the fact that he's making a decision. He's making a decision that is saving him money. You understand? Okay. The reality is that, just like the reporter said, British Columbia is probably the most expensive real estate province in the whole of Canada. And there are so many reasons to explain that. It is one of the nicest places to live. The weather is amazing. People prefer to live there. And you can think of it like the mini Florida or little Florida of Canada. The way Florida's weather is so nice, that is how it is. Now, how affordable would things be in Florida? Very expensive, isn't it? That's the same thing. Think of it. Okay, for you to really understand it, think of it like somebody choosing to live in airport residential area in Accra, Ghana, or Cantonment. How affordable will it be? It will be expensive to rent a one bedroom, isn't it? That is actually where this person, the kind of province he lives. I'm not suggesting that every part of BC is like that, especially Vancouver, the heart of it, the very heart of it is extremely expensive. We can compare that to Toronto. Extremely expensive to live in Toronto too. You could be lucky to get places that are under $1,000 for one bedroom, but you are likely going to be sharing your bedroom with somebody else. Your bedroom, not your living room, your bedroom, your actual bedroom. You could be sharing that room with somebody else. You understand what I mean? You could be sharing your bedroom with somebody. So you have one room, your mattress is here, somebody's mattress is here, and you are both seeing each other and sleeping. That is a condition in most of these big cities. Because rent is just too much. Rent is just too much. So BC is expensive. In fact, I recently spoke with a Ghanaian who had a very good job in Ghana, came here, and then he had a difficulty finding accommodation. I think I even made a post on my channels just asking if people can help with his accommodation. And he found a place eventually. I believe it's close to $800. And it's not a room he has for himself. It's a room he has to share with somebody else. Look, I have two kids. They all have their own rooms. I have 2 kids. Everybody has their own room. So imagine you being an adult sharing the room. I'm not kind of creating a picture of how bad it is, because back home, this is it's normal for many of us. I used to be a student back home, and in my small cubicle of a room, we have about 4, 5, 6, 7 to 10 students in that room. So it's not strange to me. But per the Canadian standard, this is not what the ideal standard here for people who are students. And normally you want to have your own room, and then you're sharing an open space like a kitchen or a bathroom with people, and your living space, but not the bedroom. But in most big cities like Toronto, in Vancouver, rent is so expensive that people have to share a 1-bedroom of say $2,000 with their friends, so that they are splitting the bill. You go to Scarborough, you find a lot of Punjabi students doing the same thing. Brampton. Now, recently, there was a video that came out of Brampton that the mayor and the politicians even got involved. And in that video, over a dozen students cramming in one room, just because it's too expensive for international students. So this gentleman here, we can cut him his slack there and say that, you know what, look, at least he used to live in BC and eventually moved out because it was just too expensive. Now, somebody could be asking that, oh boy, so you have the money to be flying in every week for classes. He flies into BC twice in a week. He did fly or he did enter plane. Think of it like somebody who comes from Accra, Ghana, Kumasi in the Ashanti region, right? The guy has school in the University of Ghana, or IPS, right? In Accra. But then he lives in Kumasi in the Ashanti region, which is about 5 or 6 hours or 7 hours, depending on the traffic. And the gentleman has to fly every day using one of the airlines to come to Lagos for classes. Basically, that is exactly what we're discussing here right now. Or think of it that you are flying from Tamale or Central Region to Accra just for class, and then you're flying back. That's what the guy is doing. He flies twice in a week. So that is 8 times in a month. His round trip, it means to go and to come back from Calgary to BC and from BC to Calgary, cost him about 150 Canadian dollars. So the mathematics was done by the reporter, right? And it was displayed on the screen that per that, even if he comes for class twice in a week, which is $300, times the number of times he does that in a week, 4, that is $1,200. But the average rent in BC is $2,500. So dude is actually saving himself half of the money by flying. You may not like it. He's risking himself too much in the air, but it actually is saving him a lot of money. All right, now let's talk about the other questions too. Those of you who live in British Columbia, especially in Vancouver, how much is a 1-bedroom for an international student? Now, when we talk about 1-bedroom, remember we have different types of 1-bedrooms. We have a 1-bedroom in a self-contained 3-bedroom or 2-bedroom, or we have a 1-bedroom apartment. I wish the gentleman gave us a little bit more detail. I'm assuming he's talking about a 1-bedroom inside a 3-bedroom or 2-bedroom house where there are other students. If that is not the case and it's an apartment furnished with its own stuff, kitchen, bath, you're not sharing anything, definitely those ones are more pricier. But if you're living in, say, my 3-bedroom house right now, where one student is in one room, the other is in another room, the other is in another room, then the rent tends to be a little bit more or less. This is not to say it is still cheaper in Vancouver or Toronto. Still expensive. So those of you who live in Vancouver as international students, let us know how much. Gina, Amy, for example, you live there, you live you live in Surrey or so, right? Share. Let us know what is the average rent for an international student who is living in a shared apartment versus what is the average 1-bedroom cost for an international student living in. Is it $2,500? Are you guys also paying $2,500 in share apartments? Could it also be that maybe he is living in what we call a high-end kind of 1-bedroom, which is $2,500? Because those kind of $2,500 for 1-bedroom looks to me like something close to a penthouse 1-bedroom kind of thing. Like probably in Toronto or my area, you could get a penthouse for $3,000 a month, 1-bedroom, no, or maybe even more than that. Maybe. Let me know. I'm not educated on that. Let me know if you live in the BC area there. Now, the next question we can also probably ask is that, How much does it cost him to rent in Calgary where he lives? The reporter didn't say anything about that. Some people have suggested that he could actually be living with his parents, but we don't know that in the video, isn't it? But definitely living in Calgary is not free. Maybe it's $400, maybe it's $500, maybe it's $600, but if you throw that one on top there, you're also pushing close to $2,000. Right? So if you look at it both ways, there could be some cost there. If you're living with your parents, then most likely they may not be charging you based on the fact that he's an Asian kid. Maybe his parents will, if you're living with a white parent, they likely will charge you rent because this is their culture. They will charge you rent. The moment you are of age, they will charge you rent even if you live near our house. But most of us from Asia or Africa or India, we normally will live with our kids even if they are of age and still not charge them rent. So maybe he's living with his parents, is not paying rent. If he's paying rent, then we have to factor that aspect as well. Now, the next question is that somebody could ask a question too, but if it is so expensive in British Columbia, and we all agree that British Columbia is one of the terrible places for real estate in terms of the price of houses, renting and all of that, could he not have also rented or even schooled in Alberta, where he actually prefers to be coming from? We don't know how many years his program is. We know he's lived in BC before moving out, but we don't know how long the program. Maybe he started and it's too late for him to transfer or switch. Or maybe the implication of switching the whole hassle, maybe he's almost done and he's just wrapping up. Maybe this is just a final phase of his, of his studies, and so he's just biting the bullet to get it through. Right? But could it be possible that in your choice of where to school, you could have chosen a province that is a bit more affordable? School fees could probably be a little bit cheaper in Alberta compared to British Columbia. So perhaps we could find a school in Alberta and then rent in Alberta where we think is cheaper to avoid the stress of going through. But remember, some of these things are sometimes they catch us on the blind side when we already commit ourselves to schooling. All right. But it's so easier for us to sit and say, couldn't he have gone to school here? It's not easy just moving from one school to another. To find another school service, even another headache, right? What we can learn from this is to do a bit more research ahead of time. If you are coming to study, it is not enough to secure an admission. I say this in my videos all the time. I've done a video, the appropriate cities to select where there are opportunities, not just opportunities, but affordable living, and you can still thrive. I have lived in Niagara region since I moved to Canada. I've never lived in Toronto because I don't like those places. Not because they are not beautiful. It's just too expensive. That's the truth. So I'm cutting my coat according to my size. My first rent when I moved to Canada in 2014 was $350 as a student in a 3-bedroom shared basement apartment. You see that? But I also know people who are living in 1-bedroom, $1,000, $1,500. It's your choice. Sometimes we just make decisions that also, you know what I mean? Somebody right now is paying for almost $2,000 to $3,000 in Toronto. As an international student, they have no job. So if you don't have the source of income, I'm the guy who believes that if you pay for it, and because that's what you want, when there are other options that are cheaper, then don't complain to anybody because you chose to. Because maybe in the same Vancouver, you could find a $800 or $600 shared room, but you don't want it because you want your privacy. So if you want your privacy, you have to give up the funds to get your privacy. There are people who contact me and they say they want to come here in school and they complain, I don't have money. I don't have money to afford this rent. And then you go an extra mile to help them find accommodation. Sometimes I actually have to drive around and find them. You find them a student renter, which to my standard as a landlord is ideal. It's probably even better than what I had when I came here. And you send it to them, oh, this one is, is $500. This one is this one. They will look at it and tell you, no, I don't want this. This one is not too nice. This one is not too nice. Okay, you are not in Canada. Me, I am searching for you. I'm not forcing you to take it. You are telling me you don't like it's not too nice because you are comparing it to your self-contained house that you have in Africa. You're thinking when you come here, you are going to get a self-contained for $300? And you're forgetting that the person who is helping you is also a landlord here. Okay. So when I search 1, I said 2, I said 3, and you don't like it, I just tell you, okay, this is the website, go on. Yeah, that's what I do. That's what we need to do to them. You give them 1, you give them 2, they say they don't like it, just give them a website, tell them to go and look for it. Simple. No be me, they come look for the thing for you, then you go, they reject until you get better. So if you get better, then go and look for them yourself. Most students, they make bad choices. You know if you afford rent payment, yet you want to live in a 2-3 bedroom house. I beg you, me, I go Google right now, then go look for cost of student shared apartment for Vancouver too. I can tell you it's not $2,500. Me, I did tell you. Did you hear what I said? A shared student rental in Vancouver is not $2,500 unless you are living in a penthouse. So it's possible that, our choices are actually on the other side. Exotic, classy, penthouse kind of thing. And if you want to live in a penthouse, you got to be able to pay big boys money, man. You are living in Vancouver, the tech hub of Canada, the Florida of Canada, where they barely have snow. If they have snow, so small. So those of us where we did places where snow, they beat us, like Yetunde in place or Alberta, and what we for do. You see what I mean? And these are stuff that, anyway, there's not also a justification that life is cheaper in Canada. Rent has gone crazy for the last 2-3 years, guys. Telling you this as a landlord or somebody in the real estate industry a bit, rent has gone ridiculously crazy. When I came here as an international student, you could find rent as low as $300. You could find houses selling for as low as $100 and something thousand. It's not. Houses have more than they've lost their head. And all of it is too complex for us to even explain in this video. So many factors, greed of real estate, players, and all of that, greed of brokers, greed of realtors, greed of all these guys who are involved, get rich quick, inflating prices and stuff. And eventually what happens is that landlords eventually will pass the cost to tenants. Because when it's too expensive and his mortgage is too expensive, he has to mark up the price to be able to cover his mortgage. You see what I mean? Every year you see them just increase the price too. Why? Because they need to keep up with the cost of the mortgage. Interest rate has gone up too. And who is going to suffer? It is the people. So we have a policy issue for real estate. We have an inflation issue. We have an overinflated market issue here in real estate. Niagara Falls, Buffalo in New York is just 30 minutes away from me right now, across the border. You go there and you find a much, much nicer house selling for less than maybe $200,000. You come and find the same house 30 minutes on the other side, the Canadian side. And this house, right, which is probably not as beautiful as the one in the US on the New York side, is in over 700, 800, 900, 1 million. Why? And it's not as if that this side is even the most vibrant compared to maybe the American side. But there is just something about it. But there's a price. For you as an international student coming, you just have to do your research. These are some of the things we say, but we know, especially me, I know you won't listen. First, you say my videos are too long. Even though we give you real life analysis like this, you say the videos are too long, so you won't watch them. You want 1 minute TikTok videos like this one, which is a 1 minute TikTok. We did not answer most of the things that I'm answering now. You see what I mean? Did he tell you how much his rent in Calgary? No. Did he tell you where he lives in Calgary? No. Did he tell you what kind of rent he was in BC before he moved? And no, these are all questions because we want a TikTok video. Let's play it one more time for you guys.
Commuting to class looks different for Tim Chen, who doesn't board a bus, but a plane to get to university. The arts student flies twice a week from Calgary to Vancouver, saving big bucks on rent.
I need to pay like $2,500 for the rent. I don't feel that is viable.
He pays roughly $150 per round-trip flight twice a week, about $1,200 per month total. That's half the average rent for a one-bedroom in the city.
I thought, why don't I just stay at Calgary and then just fly here? 1 hour flight. That's same shit taking a bus.
He had been renting in Vancouver for years, but gave up his unit to take a break from school. He returned to sticker shock.
When I checked the house price, I was like, oh, shoot, that was a big increase.
Vancouver continues to lead the way as Canada's most expensive city for renters, while finding a place to rent is even more difficult, with just a 0.9% vacancy rate. Chen plans to fly to UBC for his 2 classes until the end of the academic year when he graduates.
I got 3 hours of class in total. After the class, I jump back to the bus and go back to the airport.
A routine that he says gives him plenty of time to focus on his studies from the air. Abigail Turner, CTV News, Vancouver.
Alright guys, I had to play it again because I wanted you to know how short is this but has so many unanswered questions, right? I have actually gone online right now to a website here called kijiji.ca. It is a website that we can actually use to find accommodation. So what I did was to type this. If you can see it, student room rental or roommates in Vancouver, and then it's giving me quite a number of options. So look at it. The first one that came up on the list is this. Look at it. Room for rent in a luxury apartment in downtown. What is the price? 1,800 Canadian dollars. How long was this posted? 13 hours. 1,800. I want to actually click on that for us to see the pictures in there. $1,800, okay? $1,800 for this. Forgive this phone. This is an old phone that I barely use for anything useful, right? Look at it. They say luxury. The guy actually said luxury. If I actually, and no wonder only 13 people have viewed this. Look at this. How many people have viewed this right here? 13. Eh? It's too expensive. How many people are going to watch it? Let me click and show you the 1,800 this to make you guys see him. They see him. They see him for there. You see? The pictures. 1,800 be that too. You see him? You see him? But this person is smart enough as the listing agent or person to say it's a luxury apartment, 1,800. Remember the one we saw in the video, 2,500 where the guys say the rent be. I already talked to you, they lie, but I'm telling you that choices can determine how you spend money. Then when you go down, the next one is 1,500 shared house available. 1,500 shared house. So this one, if it be shared house, it be you where you pay the 1,500, then you go share with somebody, or it be you they pay the 1,500 to occupy that same house alone. The right under rate, $950. Clean, furnished room in what? Instructors, well maintained. What? Just say, if you look, you go find the ones that are reasonable. When we say reasonable, Charlie, 800 all day. Eh? 800 self day. 1,005 day. The 1,005 one way day, and they say with a private bar. So you get your own thing, private. 1,005 today there. Let me show them the 1,005 I went cry. 1,005 way day top no. Look at it. But look at it, 1,005. They say it's a homestay. Okay, let me read the 1,005 one for you guys to see. Vancouver, BC. Beautiful, 1,500. See them, 1,500. The description says, located in Kensington Cedar Cottage area. This newly renovated 1-bedroom and shared bathroom kitchen suite is suitable for single female student or professional. This modern home has been beautifully updated with new flooring, fresh paint, modern kitchen, bath, blah, blah, blah. Appliances are included, and there is also stand-up shower, large windows, bedrooms, and kitchen areas, blah, blah, blah. Street parking, utilities, and Wi-Fi are all included in the rent. The location offers easy access to blah, 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 and all of that, right? Pets, smoke-friendly, drugs are not permitted, 133, 1,500. You have your private space. You are not sharing anything with anybody. This is not a shared apartment. So me, I'm not trying to tell you that life is not expensive in Canada or rent is not expensive. I'm a landlord. I'm telling you rent is expensive. I'm telling you they use our gumption. Especially when you're coming from a place where money is hard to find. We know they go rent $2,500 one bedroom when you are a student and you are not making $2,500 in a month. And then the least thing we go run to the media, then go tell the media, as he say that is what everybody pays us. There are people living in British Columbia right now who are paying $800, $600 rent. So why are we not putting those ones out there? But as the media, we just, and questions that should be answered, we'll ask them. Like this journalist, for example, did a good job bringing the story, but could have asked the person, then what about your Calgary? The journalist could have asked that question. How much are you paying in Calgary? Then let us know. Stay with my parents, I'm not paying, I'm paying this. Then let's do the analysis too. How many hours do you spend on daily basis to move from your house there to how many hours do you spend on flight? Because you are not paid for that one as well, isn't it? Why would they do analysis if they do them comprehensive make it? No, so we just go to deceive people like that. My opinion be say this guy is choosing to rent, or maybe, I'm not saying he is choosing, per the impression created here, because we didn't say that he was paying 2.5, that's why he left. We don't even know his previous rent before he left BC. But the impression created here is that 1 bedroom is 2.5. Wrong. False. 1 bedroom in BC is not 2.5. A luxury 1 bedroom is 2.5. A luxury 1 bedroom could be 2.5 or 3. So let's put the qualifications there so that we don't deceive people. My name is Choco Millionaire. Let me know what you think about this, yeah? But when you come into Vancouver, don't be renting 2.5 houses like this unless they make 2.5 money. Go look for a shared apartment. You have your own room. Your roommates have their own room. You share the kitchen, or you share the living area, and you share a bathroom. It doesn't mean all of you take shower at the same time. One person goes in, locks up. When he's done, the other person can go in and do his thing. This is typically what the average international student from a non-privileged background, that's why we come here. We do not. Me, I never had to fly to attend school because we chose to live in areas. On campus, right? The same school that I came and I was attending, there were students who were paying 1,000 plus for their student renters on campus. I didn't. I was paying 300 off campus, and it was just 10 minutes away. They will tell you that their own includes meal. They get, that's what they call homestead, right? You get a meal, you get breakfast, you get this. And at the end of the day, after all those breakfasts, they will still come out and say the breakfast is not good enough because it's Oyibo man's breakfast. So who forced you to go and take a campus this thing, which is 1,500? When off campus, you could have gotten it a little bit cheaper. You know what I mean? It's still difficult to find accommodation here. So make sure you are building the right contacts, have people here, be in groups where people can be of help to you to find. Is one of the smartest way to actually leverage your relationships here to actually find. And when people go out to search for rooms, be wise enough to know when to reject and when not to reject. When they bring you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms and you are rejecting them because they are not up to standard, be prepared to take the website to go and do it yourself. Because nobody will be here searching for you to be saying, I reject. Not me. I know they do. If you reject 1, 2, you go and find your own thing. You see? All right. God bless you. Have a good day. Take care. Bye.